As you've probably noticed by now, this story is animated. But it's not just the first part. The entire story is animated. The first one to be so. In my personal opinion, and some may disagree, the animation of this story is better than Part 4 of The 10th Planet. Let's quickly compare the two. While the animation in certain shots feels a lot more crudely drawn, particularly this scene, it's a lot more simple, and therefore easier to look at. The 10th Planet, on the other hand, feels like it's just too close. Everything is over-detailed. And Ben is just... ugh, yikes. Anyway, enough talk about the animation. That's not what's important. What is important is the story. So let's take a dive into the power of the Daleks. The first Dalek story, not to be written by Terry Nation, and have "of the Daleks" in the title, Power had the incredible task of setting the precedent for all regeneration stories to come, the memory loss, the behaviour change, and of course, the new wardrobe. Ben and Polly aren't quite convinced that this is the Doctor, but with all the fantastical things they've seen, perhaps it is true. Being high on regeneration energy, the Doctor decides to take a wander, meeting a man who immediately gets shot.
So you've come at last. I'm from Earth. I'm the Examiner.
Honestly, it's quite difficult not to laugh watching this. I know it's meant to be shocking, but they animate Pat's face just really funny. Turns out the man was an Examiner from Earth, sent to this planet, Vulcan, for a currently unknown purpose. The Doctor takes his badge and is knocked out by the assassin, who plants a button in his hand. In the animation, that is. Apparently in the live story there was a struggle between the two, but the change in story is actually a lot better going forward, and would have been a lot harder to animate. The security team of the Vulcan colony pick up the TARDIS crew, and the Doctor manipulates them quite well, revealing his first character trait. When they ask him why Earth has sent him as an Examiner, he gets them to give him his answers.
Why are you here? To examine. Someone's leaked reports about these rebel groups. That's it, isn't it? There is Lesterson's capsule.
It's genius, and is exactly how you can sum up this Doctor, easily able to manipulate those who have authority, weaseling his way into any situation, if you will. One of the points brought up is the capsule discovered by the base's head scientist, Lesterson. They take the Doctor there, and he immediately recognises it, but doesn't let on too much when they open it. Late in the night, they go to investigate, opening the capsule further, giving us this scene.
Ben, come in and meet the Daleks. What? The Daleks.
The best possible way to fully integrate a new Doctor in the audience's minds is to have them against a familiar villain, and none is more familiar than the Daleks. By making the Doctor say, "come and meet the Daleks," it subconsciously reinforces that yes, this is the same character even further. This is the first time we ever get to see a Dalek mutant outside of the casing, which you could see a claw of one in the Daleks, but here we get multiple shots of full Dalek mutants, and they look absolutely revolting, even in animation. The team quickly realise that one of the Dalek casings is missing, likely the one that the mutant who ran away inhabited. Lesterson barges in and is quite furious, but the Doctor quickly deduces that he has seen the Daleks before, and removed one of them from the capsule. Lesterson is a good example of a secretly mad scientist. He has little moments where he just goes absolutely bonkers, and flips out at everyone. Lesterson acts as the tertiary villain of sort. He completely disregards the Doctor's warnings about the Daleks, thinking that they will benefit the colony, eventually learning the truth and having a nervous breakdown because of it. A Dalek is reactivated and kills Lesterson's assistant, Resno, but his other assistant just says that he's been knocked out. This is because she's actually one of the secondary villains, the rebels of the colony, led by Bragan, the head of security. Seeing the power that the Daleks have, she wants to exploit it, and since they're now spouting,
I am your son,
cloak.
Then they're obviously not going to betray them. Yeah, great plan. The Daleks are so incredibly cunning. By manipulating just a few people, they manipulate everyone. Pretty much the entire colony is convinced. All except for Quinn, the man who is revealed to have called the Examiner due to rebel activity, the man who owned the button planted on the Doctor. While the button being planted instead of being lost in a struggle is a much better situation, at the same time it removes the audience's suspicion on Quinn, and solely puts it on Bragan since he ruthlessly attacks Quinn and has the most to gain from Quinn's downfall. By convincing Lesterson the Daleks can offer them great technology, they get opportunities where they're alone, and are able to restart their factories, increasing their numbers from 3 to countless. Well, you can count them, but it's just a very large task. Can I just take a minute as well to say how amazing the Daleks look in animation? Putting 2D and 3D characters together is not an easy task, and somehow the team just pulled it off so wonderfully. They're the best part about the animation by far. The Rebels' plans advance and they kidnap Polly. Why? Well, Annika Wills went on holiday during the filming of episode 4, so they just wrote her out. Michael Craze did the same thing in episode 5, explaining his absence. Thing is, during the 60s, actors could just go on holiday whenever they wanted, which would either be a minor hassle for the production team or halt filming entirely. John Pertwee was actually the first Doctor not to go on holiday. Probably best that this practice was halted, but it did make some creative story edits, like Jamie in The Mind Robber. Now seemingly with all the power, Bragan overthrows the Governor by killing him.
Why do human beings kill human beings?
Get on with your work.
You'll find that out in Evil of the Daleks, mate. Don't worry. The rebellion fully breaks out, and the Daleks use it to their advantage, mobilising all forces, but for some reason take ages to actually kill someone, and despite having the superior numbers, they still pretend to be working with them. The colony is actually the biggest issue of the episode, in my opinion, as it doesn't really feel any larger than a base. Even in animation, I can't see this place being full of civilians at all. In the end, the Doctor manages to overload the power, neutralising the Daleks. Unfortunately, however, Lesterson sacrifices himself. Whether he knew that he was distracting the Daleks in his mental state, I can't really say. But in the end, he redeemed himself. Power of the Daleks is a bit of a mixed bag for me, and I think is probably saved by the animation. It feels like a bit of a slog to get through, and definitely could have been 4 parts instead. The Daleks are wonderful villains, but their choices, as always I suppose, are just very odd, especially when they have the majority over the civilians of the colony. I think this story wanted to be so much bigger than it could have, and while animation helped with that, it couldn't change anything that wasn't just visual. In tomorrow's episode we will be looking at Patrick Troughton's last story, and also my favourite of them all, The War Games. I'll see you then.